There's a lot of reasons we don't trust someone. We don't trust the arrogant, do we? How many of you know a know-it-all? How many sit next to one right now? If you're both raising your hand, we got a problem. It's the little things done consistently that make the biggest difference in every area of life. If I'm overweight, it's because I've had too many mocha lattes over months, years, not because I ate too much this morning for breakfast. If I'm a good husband, it's because I've loved and honored my wife over years, not because I gave her a diamond ring and a dozen roses one time. Not that that wouldn't help. How many think transparency is trusted? Transparency is the word of the day, isn't it? In business, vulnerability, gotta be transparent. Gotta be transparent. And yet confidentiality is also trusted. That's why someone who's really trusted must be as transparent as they can while being as confidential as they ought. Many of us think confidence is trusted, but arrogance isn't. Does that ever overlap? Before I did my graduate research 15 years ago on trust, I thought I knew it all about trust. How many think it takes a long time to build trust? Yeah? It often does. And yet on 9/11, in a moment of crisis, complete strangers trusted each other like that if they were running the same direction. I know you can learn some places how to lose 50 pounds in a week and make $1 million in a month. Trust isn't like that, but it is the only way I know to real, genuine success at anything. Salesperson, professor, parent, or friend. It's not up to anybody else. To be trusted actually does take work, and where all kinds of people and all kinds of experts want to say, oh, you do it this way, and oh, if you give him a chocolate bar, and oh, if you pay him, and oh, if you... Sometime we got to find somebody that has the character to just do it. The trusted brand, you'll pay way more, won't you? You'll come back. You'll tell others. The trusted leader gets followed. The trusted salesperson gets bought from. A lack of trust is your biggest expense, and I believe after the research and everything else, there's nothing more important, whether it's at home or at work, than being trusted. It affects the bottom line, it affects time, it affects productivity. Jason was actually studying the coffee and donut stands that get pushed out weekday mornings in Manhattan. He noticed one stand's different than all the others, Ralph's stand. If you go up to Ralph's stand and you ask for one glazed donut, Ralph shouts back, 75 cents. If you try to pay Ralph a buck, a dollar bill for that 75-cent donut, Ralph motions you on to the end of his little shop on wheels where there's a tray, change thrown about, in the middle of the tray a cup, in the middle of the cup, cash bills sticking out of the cup on a tray, on a stand in New York City. What are you supposed to do at Ralph's stand? Make your own change and pay what you owe. Now, we might expect this where I grew up, Verndale, Minnesota, 500 people. 3 hours drive from Minneapolis, St. Paul. The 1,500-acre farm that I grew up on was actually 8 miles from Verndale. I grew up in the middle of nowhere. I remember a veggie stand handled just this way. It's on the trust or honor principle, right? What happened at Ralph's stand? Ralph served twice the customers of any other stand day in and day out. He served them in half the time because he didn't have to take his latex gloves off like all the other vendors. And Ralph had loyal customers. They loved coming to Ralph's stand. Why? Trust. My hope for you in your community, in your practice, in your family, and in your life is that you would enjoy the greatest advantage of all time, something we call the trust edge.